ready to tell my story. Um, the storyline is my mom and other family members continue to support the pastor that essayed my son and other young men in the church. Um, I will tell my story without giving the drastic details. Um, but I will, tell enough that you would know how to either read between the lines and get it or not. But anyway, but I'm not willing to exploit my son just to expose this perpetrator. But anyway, we met this preacher back in 1994, 95, somewhere up in that area. I'm not sure what year it was. Anyway, he came to our family church, ran a revival. Um, Very charismatic. He could really preach a good message, and he could keep your attention. Very good messages, like I said. He would prophesy. He was, I think, a prophet at that time. He was calling himself Prophet Gibbs. I'm not sure, but anyway, um, I'm gonna call his name because he is now a registered sex offender, and that is public information. So I am able to call his name. We met Mr. Gibbs. Like I said, he came down doing revivals or whatever. So we started to kind of commute back and forth, visiting his church, and he would come to our church and visit maybe once a month and preach. I think it was basically like we were members of two churches. But anyway, um, he came down. Um, doing revivals and all of that. It was two different denominations. The family church was of the Baptist denomination, and he was of the apostolic doctrine or denomination, whatever. So, that went on for about 2 years, going back and forth, visiting, between both churches. Then, um, the moderators and some of the members of the Baptist church did not like the way he orchestrated his services, because like I said, it was two different denominations. So at that point, they would not allow him to come, back and preach. So some of the family members left the family church and joined his ministry. Were members there, for, like I said, over 20 years. Very strict and disciplined. A lot of things that we were not allowed to do. No jewelry, no makeup, no pants, no movies, no football games. Couldn't take vacations or anything we did. If we did take a vacation, we'd have to plan it around church or whatever. It was just, the church was supposed to be our life. So anyway, met this man, thinking, okay, we found the right pastor. I'm the type of person that I need discipline. I need to be in a place where I can be disciplined. But I did not know it was a cult at the time. But anyway, we'll get to that later. But so we were very faithful members there. Like I said, for over 20 years. Finally, around December of 2019, my son came to me and told me that he was essayed by the preacher. Began when he was 15, going on about 2 months before he turned 16. He told me, he gave me graphic details of what happened to him. And I'm going to go down the storyline, but just kind of giving you guys a little background of how we met. My mom, sister, brothers, my immediate family, my entire immediate family was a part of that ministry. And then other people from the family started joining a little later. But yeah, he came and told me that he essayed him. And then I began to take the necessary steps to get justice for my son. Okay, part 5 of my mom and other family members continue to support the preacher. Excuse me. I left off at my son. I took my son to the doctor. But prior to that, when I had the first phone call with the preacher, before I ended the call, I had told him I believe my son, everything my son said. He has no reason to lie to me. I believe what he said, and whatever my son decides to do, that's what we're going to do next. Okay, fast forward to the doctor. The preacher was calling me. I stepped out to answer the phone. When I stepped out to answer the phone, he was calling me to see to ask, what did we decide to do? So I'm like, listen, I cannot talk to you right now. I'm in the middle of something. I just cannot talk to you right now. I'll call you back. But him and his arrogance, he just would not let up. I just need to know, I just want to know what y'all decided to do. So I told him, I said, listen to me. I said, I have my son at the doctor. The doctor reported the abuse. And my son now has to give a statement to law enforcement. So he was like, oh, God, no. Why? Wait, no, wait. And I'm like, what? He was like, wait, no. Is there anything that, we could do? I want a peaceful exit and all of this. So I'm like, the nerve of you to ask me for a peaceful exit, after all that you has put my son through. No, like, look, I got to get off this phone. My son needs me, and I'm going back inside to check on my son. Sister Meister, please, no, just ask him what can we do? Can we have a peaceful exit or whatever? So anyway, I was like, I gotta go. Bye. I just had to hang up because he just would not get off the phone. So when I went back in to talk to my son, by this time law enforcement was coming in, and so the officer that they sent, my son was familiar with him. So was I. Like, I'm from a small town, so everybody knows everybody. Excuse me. So my son was like, he asked the officer, he said, I don't mean to offend you or anything like that, but we are common with each other. Is it okay if I give my statement to another officer, a different officer that I do not know? And the officer was very polite, very understanding. He was like, sure, yeah. What I'll do is I'll call the investigator and I'll let you talk with him. So he called the investigator, he came. But when the investigator came, all of them were still in the room together. So my son asked the investigator, he said, is it okay that I just come to your office and give a statement instead of here? So the investigator was like, yes. He was also understanding. He was like, yes, you can come to my office tomorrow. He gave him a time to come. So we're leaving the hospital. The doctor. We're leaving the doctor. Jermaine, the pedal, is ringing. He started calling, just blowing me up. So I finally tell my son, I said, listen, this is Jermaine calling. And he's wanting to know what we're going to do next. So my son was like, well, at this point, it's out of our hands. Like, no, tell him we what's going on. He said, I don't care if he knows. Because at this point, he's really getting on my nerves calling you. So I told him, okay, you go ahead and get in the vehicle. I'll answer the phone. So I answered the phone for the preacher, and I told him, I said, listen, I don't know what you want from us. I don't know what you expect me to do. Because you got to remember, not only was I hoodwinked, but I'm coming out of it now. of being bamboozled. I'm coming out of it because now I'm seeing this man for who he really is and the type of person that he is. And it's clear to me now that he's just a manipulator, and he's not even concerned about what he did. He was concerned that he was caught, and I was standing for my son. And he knew that I didn't play the bullshit when it came to my kids. So he knew I was not about to play with him. So anyway, I told him, I said, I don't know what you want from us. I don't know why you keep calling me. Just please stop calling me. So then he asked again, can, I just have a peaceful exit? Is there any way we can have a meeting? So I'm like, who do you want to have a meeting with? And he was like, you, and call my son by his nickname, your son. And I told him, I said, I don't have a problem having a meeting, but it's not just going to be me, my son, and you. No, because at this point, I don't trust you, and I don't know what you're capable of. So no, I said, if you want to have a meeting, I will let my husband know. And he was, so he asked me, he said, have you told your husband? I said, no. He was like, please, no, don't tell your husband. Please don't bring him to the meeting. Because at this point, you already know. My husband was never bamboozled by you. And if he gets in your presence, you already know what's going to happen. So I told him, I said, it's not just going to be me and my son. So, I said, well, I'll call an elder of the church. For you biblical folk, if you got an alt, bring it before the elders. So I said, I'll call another elder from the church. So when I told him that I would call another elder from the church, he was like, which one of the elders? So I gave him the name of the elder. Oh, no, God, no, please, no. I said, well, we're not having a meeting if we don't have another person there. Like, no, you're not going to get me and my son in no building, just me, you, and him. You might want to unalive us or whatever, because you caught. So he was like, okay, you can bring the elder. Fine. I said, but remember, where I live, he lives 45 minutes away from me. At this point, I told him, I said, I'm not coming to Monroeville. I will never, ever drive to Monroeville ever again. So if you want to have a meeting, you're going to come to where we live, and it's going to be at this time. So he was like, okay. He just such a wimp, weak. Anyway, so I ended up calling the elder. The preacher wants to have a meeting. Can you meet us at the church at whatever time? By this time, we are in the ministry for about over 20 years. So he's got like 8 churches in 8 different cities 8 different counties in the state of Alabama, or cities, whatever. Excuse me. So he had a church in the area that I lived. So that's why I told him, you're going to have to come to me. Anyway, I called the elder. The elder agreed to come to the meeting. So I get back in the vehicle and I tell my son, okay, he wants to have a meeting. Is that okay? My son was like, yes, we can have a meeting. You call him back, though, and you tell him in this meeting, he is going to tell you the truth. He's going to admit what he done. He's going to apologize to me, and he will stop harassing me. So I say, fine. Call the preacher back. My wife knows about everything. I told her about the recording. When I heard about it, she knows about the text. My wife knows everything. But if you did, man. But how did your wife know about a recording that you just asked me? Did it exist? If it was your child, you wouldn't let nobody sit back and run your child in the ground like that. For these people to still be calling my son a liar, there's some lying going on somewhere. Somebody ain't telling everything, or somebody going back and forth, lying. I don't know what's going on. That's what's going on. Somebody going between all of us must be. That's what they got to be. Because I ain't told nobody. Because, bitch, my son is embarrassed. He did not want this to get out. And I didn't.
Did y'all hear that?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I thought we were leaving it alone.
But you did, man.
It's the biggest mess. I'm telling you. And I don't know. You gonna have to come up with something. You gonna have to fix this. I don't know how this gonna get fixed, but you gonna have to fix this. These folk gonna have to know this boy ain't lying on you. These folk gonna have to know BJ ain't lying. These folk gonna have to know I ain't did nothing. The only thing I did was support my son. Been a parent, a mother to my child. I even kept this mess hid from my husband for the sake of everybody else. Because everybody said don't tell him. Yeah. So I'm fighting two battles. I know. Oh my God. Lord have mercy, Jesus. We got to fix it. I don't know how, but we got to
I don't know who he think he playing with, but I am not the one.
I thought it was there. I was going to leave it there. I promised to God I would. You can ask BJ. I lied to him and told him you came out and said it when I knew that you did not. But I did that so he would feel okay and we could let it go. Yeah, and that's what I thought we were doing. That's why I ain't done nothing. Oh, Jesus. I ain't done nothing. I ain't went nowhere. Me either. I ain't talked to nobody. I ain't nothing. I talked to my daughter the day she called me, which was Wednesday. She called me the day she left work. I talked to her then.
Now when Adrian hear this, she gonna know he lying.
Yesterday, because I had sent her some money.
Like she asked me to.
I sent her the text and let her know that I